Oh, he's getting packed. Oh, shoot, mother of mercy. Tabata heard the allegations and said no. He's actually packed. Shoutouts to my boy. Thank you to our $5 patrons Redwolf4765, Midnight Gemlord, and Sean. And another thank you to our $3 members Recliner Plays and Redwolf4765. And a very big thank you to our $25 patron Alex Ice Rose. And a very big thank you to our $25 member Alex Ice Rose. Now, we're having this breakdown / discussion and review of chapter 357 of Black Clover. Please remember to leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comments section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also hit that little notification bell to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also I do a Patreon below, each as low as $1, count them $1, exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, let's hop into chapter 357. What's up guys, Punter here, and here we are to do a review and analysis of chapter 357 of Black Clover, which is known as the final slash. And okay, to be fair, is it entirely impossible for Tabata to still go out of his way and stop fighting the allegations and bring Jack back? I want to say it is. This seems way too definitive. You don't call it the final slash and the final arc for nothing. But we'll hop into that discussion a little bit more when we finally get to the big, fat, juicy moment. So let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. So we open up and we do get to see that, oh, Yuno's getting packed. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I was a little bit concerned. Like, I won't lie to you. I was just a teeny, tiny, chunky bit concerned with the way last chapter ended off. It seemed like Yuno was actually trying to be him. He like sliced through a horn and everything. You can see that was real stuff. Like, he actually genuinely sliced through the horn. And that means that, you know, Lucius couldn't just dodge. He had to react to Yuno's speed genuinely. Like, he couldn't use his precog or anything like that. Nah, he got his horn chopped off. And to be fair, I don't think those antlers work like real antlers. I doubt that hurt Lucius at all or anything like that. But still, the fact that he got his horn chopped off, you know, Yuno's kind of himothy. He's already doing way more than I thought he was going to do. I thought bro was going to show up, flex, and get insta-packed. But nah, bro transformed, and he's really here. He's really showing off a little bit. But, yeah. So you know how Yuno got, like, a really fat amp, like a thick, juicy amp, if you will, like an amp of amps. Like, bro was slaying countless mid-level underworld creatures. Like, bro really was him. He came out, amped the entire kingdom to the point where everyone was now relevant enough against these indestructible creatures. Like, straight up, everything seemed to be going well. Well, we gotta remember, as crazy as Black Clover power creep is on some fronts, like Ichikas being able to do anything to a post-year of training DU Asta is absolutely insane. And all of the other Reason 7 being at all relevant against the post-year of training Asta, no matter what form he's in, is insane. But regardless of that insanity, Lucci was still pretty much verbatim the strongest in the verse at 100%. And even at 50%, he was ragdolling fools, smacking them around, up, down, left, right, called a cheat code. Like, bro really was just him. No Grimoire, no fancy magic, bro just had gains. And remember, who took a bite? Who took a look in a book, no reading rainbow, and decided to munch all of Lucci and get all of his gains? Yeah, it was Father Lucius. And you can see that Daddy Lucius is not playing these games, because bro seriously took this massive, crazy Sword of Zephyr from a year of training amped, Yuno, dual magic, mastery, plus the Neverland amp, and really had his blade caught in one hand. And notably, it was the opposite hand. Like, it's not like Lucius went out of his way to lift the one hand to make the job easier. No, he did the more difficult thing. He crossed his left arm over his body to catch Yuno's blade. That's crazy. Like, I will still give Yuno props. Lucius didn't casually blitz him. Like, he just didn't do that. He failed the blitz. Well, to be fair, he succeeded in the blitz last shadow. That was base Yuno. But Yuno did, once he was in full power, did manage to, he cut off Lucius's antler. But the fact that Yuno, who presumably, unless he has something else in his kit that he's holding back on for some reason, Yuno, probably in his most powerful state, after a year of training, had, his big, massive magic sword one-handed at the start of their fight. Like, bro really opened up with everything and got nothing but a horn that, seemingly enough by Lucius' reaction, doesn't even matter. So, I mean, Yuno fans, I still have hope for y'all. Like I said, Yuno's doing way better than I thought he was going to already. With this alone, he's already going down in the history books as the best fight Lucius has had up to this point. But even with that, bro's getting packed. Like, I can tell the pack will be delicious. Will it be a proper pack? Like, we get a proper pack maybe later on in this chapter? I highly doubt that. I'd sooner see Paladin Yuno. Like, still need to make a video on that. I still think Paladin Yuno is the most likely scenario with the way the plot is progressing at this point. Just considering the sheer dominance Lucius is showing just on this first page, it's a bit too wild for me to believe that Yuno will A, do anything serious against Lucius, even if he has another form up his sleeve, and or B, actually perish, actually become a pack. He's not on pack watch, he's on fraud watch. There's a difference. There's a sharp difference. When you're on pack watch, that usually means you're going to be put in a pack. When you're on fraud watch, that just means, you may think you're him, but we're trying to wait to see whether or not you really are. And Yuno is definitely on fraud watch right now. And unfortunately, the patrols aren't doing too well for Yuno, because his blade did get absolutely caught and is casually just being held by Lucius. And we see that Lucius does bring up the fact, you do realize I absorbed the strongest character in the entire verse. Like, legitimately, absorbing Lucci made me physically tough as well. Your attacks won't reach me that easily. And once again, we're going to take Yuno a little bit off of fraud watch, because you do see when Lucius is holding his blade, it's not like that perfect hold. Like, notably when Asta swung on Lucci a year ago in verse, Lucci caught it. And it was just dead stopped. It was 100% dead stopped where it was. It did not move at all. So, Lucci had a more dominant display of catching a magical blade. Meanwhile, Lucius is shaking, which implies to me that if this attack were to land on someone like 50% Lucci, the one that appeared a year ago, I think would actually do some decent damage, if not to straight up bisect him. Well, maybe not straight up bisect him, because notably, Lucius doesn't appear to take any damage from this swing. He's just struggling to hold Yuno back a bit, which is still impressive on Yuno's front. Once again, this guy has access to all his own base stats, plus hypothetically the base stats of his siblings, and the base stats of the strongest creature in the verse before him. So yeah, obviously, bro is a little bit special, but the fact that he's able to... the fact that he's not absolutely no-selling Yuno here is a testament to Yuno's ability. Do I think that's going to mean much in the grand scheme of things? No, not really. I can definitely tell that Yuno is in fact on fraud watch right now, but still, regardless of that, it is very impressive. And we do get to see, Lucius points out another very interesting yet very obvious and important fact. He says to Yuno, this spell is enormous. I'd imagine even you won't last that long. In the end, your struggle is pointless. You'll only prolong their suffering. And this does make sense. Notably, Yuno is... I don't think he's ever described like Yuta is from JJK. I don't think he's ever described to have like boundless magic. But he does have one of the highest amounts we've ever seen in the entire verse. Especially on like a human or even elf standard. Like, bro's magic capacity is insane. That was even before his year of training. Arguably even before time skip. Bro's had some girth on him. But Lucius does bring up a fantastic point. This spell isn't just covering the castle. It isn't just covering a couple buildings. No, if you look at his spell here, it's literally reaching probably farther than it needs to in reality. Like, this Neverland spell of his is going out so far that it's literally actually seemingly in the countryside. Because you can see that trees and different hills and landscapes are also being covered by the spell. So with it being so large and it consistently being active, yeah, that really is large. And like the amount of raw energy it would take to keep this spell going also has to be crazy, because notably, Yuno's essentially just consistently expelling his magic here. Like, he needs to consistently fuel this spell. It's not like Merlin from Seven Deadly Sins. Notably, when she casts a spell, it's a GG. Like, it just automatically maintains itself until she herself turns it off. Yuno, he's essentially doing two things at once. He's supporting what is like a massive, greater than kingdom-sized spell, supporting who knows how many other Magic Knights, while attempting to debuff other Magic Knights, I'm pretty sure. And on top of that, he's fighting Lucius, the most powerful creature in the entire verse as far as we know it. So, like, Yuno's fighting a hard fight. I can't even necessarily blame him for struggling against Lucius, because he's fighting two fronts. Hypothetically, if he could use all this excess magic solely on Lucius, then things could work out a bit better for him. Or if he could use all of his magic to hypothetically reinforce the spell, this could work out for him. But the fact that he's doing both is what's probably just slurping his magic supply dry and overall weakening him in a battle where he cannot be weak. He really would need someone like Asta, and only Asta, because I don't think there's anyone else who compares. But, like, literally, he would need an Asta here to fight Lucius head on while he works to maintain the spell, and or have someone like Asta to help gank, or I guess reverse gank, because it would just be one person, reverse gank all the angels so the knights don't have to worry about, perishing. But right now, with Yuno essentially carrying the entire Clover Kingdom on his back, he's really stuck out of luck here. And Lucius is kind of right. Like, they aren't going to succeed. Because once Yuno falls, they're going to fall. They're going to fall hard. They are going to fall hard. And there's nothing Yuno can really do about that. That's the worst thing. He's here, and he kind of just needs to hope. He needs to hope and ask whatever being he believes in to send Asta. Realistically, send Asta, get extra reinforcements from somewhere. But even then, reinforcements from the Spade Kingdom aren't going to help. No, they're reinforcements from the Heart Kingdom. They're going to be worthless. There's nothing you're going to get from them that's going to be powerful enough to help you in this battle. You would need Asta, or you would need the Land of the Rising Sun. Two things that are obviously not going to appear yet for plot reasons. So with that being the case, he's in a rough spot. But, this chapter isn't really about Yuno. It follows up and spends the first 2 pages talking about Yuno, because that's what the last chapter did. So you kind of need to follow up on it. But, the real focus of this chapter is the Dark Trio. And I'm not talking about the dark side of New Gen manga. I mean Yami, Jack, and not Nacht, but Morgan. And we cut back over to their debacle, their fight. And Yami is checking in on Jack. Jack, obviously, like I mentioned a while back, his hand's gone. The whole thingamajig gone. And there's a hole in his torso. And I'm not talking like a tiny hole, not a pinprick. No, bro has at least a gallon hole in his whole gut. And Jack ain't that, he's not that big. Notably, on much larger characters, this would be less concerning, though still extremely concerning because it's a straight through hole. But on Jack, who's probably like 130 pounds soaking wet because it's being pure muscle and sinew, bro's in a really rough spot. And with that being the case, he realizes as he lays there, being taken out of the battle the moment it starts, he realizes that, oh wait, I'm not a main character. Oh wait, I'm not even a member of the Black Bulls. Oh wait, I haven't really accomplished anything in the entire narrative up to this point. Am I gonna go? Am I gonna be the one? Am I gonna be the one to beat the allegations? And with this being the case, we go back in time, back to reality, back in time, and we see a scenario where Jack was fighting Yami. And we see right before a darkness blade is about to take Jack's eye out, Yami stops short and he asks, "What the heck was that for? What's wrong with you?" And we see Jack even acknowledge, whoa, okay. Bro actually spared me my peripheral vision and my dynamic vision. Like, he literally could have taken out my left eye right there. He talks his smack. He hits him with the huh. But yeah, Yami was him, and he's always been him. and you shall never forget that he is him. And with that being the case, we see that Yami's like, wake up, loser. We both look like bad guys, but I'm on your side, scrawny dude. Hop off my meat, I swear. You and all the other women want to get all over it, but I swear it's sold to Morgan. No, I'm kidding. But with that, well, am I? But with that being the case, we do get to see that apparently Jack just attacked Yami unprovoked. And like, I mean, I that's the thing. I like the smoke demon archetype. I don't think that's why I'm like torn on my opinions on this. Like, why? Why would you just randomly attack Yami? I mean, you want to fight, I guess, but like, why? It seems so strange. However, we do get to see that there isn't much time for discussion between these two because Morgan pops in through the holy light and he says, Yami, the mission is complete. Let's return to headquarters. And this is back in the time when Morgan was still, you know, alive. Meaning this is pre the Nacht. I mean, no, actually, I think this still ties into the Nacht Yami dynamic, but we don't see Nacht here in this flashback. Obviously, he's not an important enough character for this chapter, or at least this specific interaction. This is definitely a pseudo dark trio thing, the Twilight slice, if you will. You get it because it's like light, dark, and cutting things. Yeah, obviously he's not necessarily needed here. And I'm gonna assume, I'm gonna take a guess here, we're not gonna see any if we do get more flashbacks, for one, which is unlikely considering the cast we have here, and two, if we do get like any cuts away or anything like that, I don't think we're gonna see any of the Black Bulls. Essentially, I don't think we're gonna see any of the Black Bulls or any of the Land of the Rising Sun until they appear. So thusly, showing Nacht here isn't necessary, and also would probably ruin like the where's Nacht? Like, even a glimpse of him in a flashback would probably throw off the hypothetical pacing that Tabata is going for here. And we see Morgan, you know, being Morgan, is like, hey, you should really try to get along with the other brigades, Yami. And we see that Yami's like, hey, you leave me alone. He picked that fight, all right? I didn't want to fight him. I didn't want to give him this work. But when he asked for the work, I had to give it to him. Like, it's as simple as that. It's the laws of nature. And we get to see that other people notice that, okay, I see. That's the Grey Deer's Brigade. Grey Deer Brigade's a light and dark duo. They're the best of our generation. Light is the strongest attribute in history, while dark's a total enigma. Both types are insubstantial and can't be caught. Talk about mystical magic. Interesting. Notably, the thing that catches me off guard the most is saying that light's the strongest attribute in history. I mean, I guess. Like, the first Wizard King used light, I'm pretty sure. Obviously, we know the elves used light, or at least Patry did. But, really? The strongest attribute in history? Like, I'm pretty sure Julius was the captain of the Grey Deer at this point. I think people knew about time magic, right? Like, was light really considered superior to time, or was this just like, did Tabata forget? Like, I'm not sure. Maybe, but no, the Grey Deer being explicitly mentioned here, and Lucius's design being mainly based on the fact that he was once a Grey Deer. I believe it was the Grey Deer captain, I'm pretty sure. Interesting how they say light magic is the strongest attribute. I can see why, technically, because like the absolute supremacy you should have, keyword is should have, in terms of like speed and versatility with light alone should be crazy, but time clears. Like, time should just flat out clear. But it's very interesting. Even space, like, realistically, if you were able to combine like Langris and the other one, if you were to combine both of them and have someone who could teleport and erase things from existence, I'd say even time, both time and space, would be better than light. The only issue is that you usually don't get both. But then you have someone like Sister Lily when she was wielding Buggy Boy, and she could do both. So like, I don't know, space magic I can be, no, not even that, because we know spatial magic uses existed, but maybe not to a point of any prominence, because the main ones we know are Langris and his brother. So like, maybe not space, but time should definitely be put on a higher pedestal than light in pretty much all regards, at least in my opinion. However, we do get to see that in spite of this like overwhelming power, this mystical magic as it's called, Jack, instead of being afraid, is like, oh, I like it. I like the cut of your jib. Heretical dark and sublime light. Someday I'm gonna slash them both. And like, I get it. But I feel like, I think maybe the reason I feel so disconnected to Jack is because we have the smoke demon archetype done better and more effectively in Mereoleona. And I just like the character more. I think I like Meryliona's character more than I like Jack's. I would like, and it's not that Jack is a bad character, don't get me wrong. I can definitely understand why he's even some people's favorite character, or at least in people's top 10, even though, yeah, he may not even scream my top 15, if I'm being completely honest with you, just going off the top of my head. But even with that being the case, is he even top 3 favorite captains for me? Probably not. But with that being the case, I can definitely understand it. But I don't know. Jack has, at least for me as a character, always been someone that's been like in the middle tier. Like, I understand what Tabata's going for with the character. I like the unique spin on the magic. Obviously, you know, I love me a good Jack the Ripper reference here and there. But regardless of that, it's like, like, he's neat. He's neat. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he's a plague on the series or anything. Like, there's nothing that Jack does that, like, actively makes me want to tear my hair out. But he's, like, a character that if you were to ask me to make a video on, it would just be me talking about how midi is. And, like, and that's, once again, this is solely from my perspective. Like, notably, there are some characters that some people like that I will actively slander. Like, I will go out of my way and say, I do not understand why you like this character. I need you to explain it to me. Like, major examples are Toga Himiko from My Hero Academia. Still can never see the appeal behind that character. Still don't like anything about her. Reo from Blue Lock. I can see why people like the character, though. That's a character that I can fully understand, and I've had explained to me by people in my own comment section before why people like Reo. So, like, I can get Reo a little bit. Never got the Toga standing. But Jack's not one of those. He's much more like a... What's a good example from another series? He's like a... it's kind of hard to think about. He's kind of like a Mr. Compress. A Mr. Compress to me. Like, if you specifically remember from My Hero Academia, Mr. Compress, that's my kind of opinion on Jack. Like, he's neat. I like the ability. I think the design is decent enough. But it's just like, there's nothing that stands out enough for me to be like, yo, this is peak. Yeah, there's nothing that's like so atrocious that I'm like, yo, this is weak. Like there's nothing. And I feel like Jack's in that awkward middle ground where it's like, I mean, all right. And to be fair, with the whole idea of him hypothetically getting packed here, I couldn't care less because I don't care about Jack. But I do like the narrative implications of this. Like, Jack isn't the most important character in terms of narrative weight. Trust me. I know that. But he also isn't the most unimportant. Like, we have captains that have gotten less characterization and screen time than Jack. If Tabata really wanted to go out of his way and just execute a random captain in order to show that, oh yeah, we can execute characters, it wouldn't be Jack. There are, like, what, 3 other captains that have, like, minimal characterization and or screen time that could get packed and show us, oh, the stakes are real. But no, by Tabata specifically aiming for Jack, juicing for Jack directly, he gets a character that a lot of people like, a lot of people would care about, and a lot of people would think wouldn't go within the first 5 minutes of this final war and executes. Meaning that in a soft way, shape, or form, obviously, I think you and I both know Yuno isn't actually going to perish. I think you and I both know Noelle isn't going to perish. I think you and I both know Asta definitely isn't going to perish. But by putting a character like Jack, someone who has the potential to be someone's favorite character, someone who has the potential to have some sort of narrative weight, someone who has the potential to have some sort of emotional weight, by putting him on the chopping block this soon, it really sets up the stakes for this final war properly. There's another popular series out there that takes out an quote-unquote important character, or a character that's more than background dressing, and I think that series fails when they do it, because they don't address it, they don't talk about it at all, and the character wasn't even really a character. But taking out Jack like this is a story that we followed. Like, Tabata specifically goes out of his way to remind us of some of Jack's best moments. Like, notably, we see that Yami is holding up Jack, and Jack's like, move it, Yami. I don't want you protecting me. Bro, you don't have an arm. You don't have an arm. Like, bro, you don't have an arm, and I know some of your liver, a little bit of your large intestine, probably a tiny bit of your small intestine. Like, a good chunk of you's missing, bro. I don't care if you don't want him protecting you. You still are hypothetically an asset, even if you did get speed blitz. So we need to get you to Mimosa, wherever she is, and, like, get her to heal you, please. However, we do get to see that Morgan is flexing up. He's like, I'll use my light to send you to heaven. Bro, Morgan's different, bro. Morgan's different. Like, he is directly like the most angelic of all the figures so far, which is so amazing because of how we associate his appearance with someone like Nacht, who was born in the shadow, and Morgan's own connection to someone like Yami, someone from the darkness, and yet still with his light attribute, his calm demeanor, his chilling presence, he still gives off that almost angelic feel. But what I mentioned before about how Jack's best moments are kind of just thrown together in a panel for us, we see that Tabata really did, like, I'm not sure if he planned Jack going from his inception, but it kind of feels like it, because he gave him just enough screen time. Like, Tabata gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He gives us 11 different panels of Jack fighting and slashing and ripping. Like, he knows that, yeah, there's people who definitely have investment in this character. He didn't pick Jack out for no reason. He picked Jack out because he could be sacrificed, but the sacrifice wouldn't be meaningless. And we see that with Jack realizing how much he slashed like crazy and honed his skills, he has one more in him. He knows he's about to go. He says it himself. Am I about to perish? And he realized that if he's going to go out, he's going to go out in one final, amazing, epic, perfect slash. And once again, I still believe there are better artists in Shonen Jump Weekly than Tabata. And by that, I mean Hori. I literally mean Hori. In terms of the sheer art quality, I'm sorry, Hori's on a different level. And there are people who do manga and Shonen Jump on a weekly basis that are better at kinetic movement and posing than our boy Tabata. Obviously, I'm talking about Gege, and obviously, I'm talking about Suzuki Sensei. Sakamoto Days and JJK have the best action, like hands down. But regardless, it feels like with Tabata, I feel like I've said this before, but I don't know for sure. It feels like Tabata takes some of the best aspects of every single one of those, a piece of the art quality of Horikoshi, a piece of the dynamic posing and fluidity from JJK, and a piece of the dynamic action from Sakamoto Days, and fuses them all together. This panel of Jack, where you see the life literally pouring out of all his holes, his mouth, his arm, his stomach, as he reels back, you see every single muscle in his body, from his legs to his arms, tensed up as his eyes go white with sheer mad glee, and he just tears, where he declares he shall slash everything apart with one last attack. It is so metal. I love it. I love it so much. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's so weird to say. I would frame this. And like, once again, Jack, not a favorite character of mine, but this is gorgeous art for him. I'm glad if he's going to go out, he's going to go out in this way. And you see this last attack of his as Morgan fires this gigantic beam of light that would do who knows how much damage if it actually manages to hit Yami or Jack. We see that Morgan's eyes snap open. Bro said, wait a minute. It may actually be that time. I need to open my eyes on this bad boy. And we see the slash decimates a whole chunk of the kingdom. Like, it tears so well that it doesn't just slash through the noble realm and the kingdom itself. No, it reaches down and across multiple hillsides and outside of the magical barrier that Yuno has up for Neverland. He literally tore through Neverland. That's how powerful this slash was. And it's still absolutely insane to me that Galen from Seven Deadly Sins did the exact same thing without even making contact with it. No, I'm kidding. But regardless, that is insane. Like, the fact that Jack did this on his, pretty much on his D-bed. Like, bro was really about to go. Once again, has a hole in his arm and a hole in his gut, and he still managed to pull that off. That is absolutely insane. He literally leaves a cavern. Like, he split the earth itself. And he didn't just split the earth, he tore through multiple of these angelic figures. How he didn't hit a single magic knight, I don't have a clue. Maybe he did. Maybe he genuinely did, and we just don't get to see it because that would obviously be too dark for Jack on a send-off. But regardless, the level of power that he shows off here, Chef's kiss. Gorgeous. I'm so happy that Jack got to go out with one big final attack. But unfortunately, going back to the ideas I mentioned before about how Jack, while he is important enough to have fan favorite recognition, while he does have a cool design, while he was worthy of this big final last attack, he's not going to be the one to do damage or beat Morgan. You know that, I know that, and Tabata knows that. So we see, as all the captains and all the Magic Knights look on in shock, terror, and a bit of confusion, Jack asks, how was that? Yami, what did you think of my final slash? And Yami responds, I hate to admit it, but that was really something, Jack. I just got one regret. I never got to cut you up. And Jack drops lifeless on the tree. And we see Morgan admit, if that had landed, it would have finished me. And we see that Yami, now enraged, but sweating, says, you sure ain't the Morgan I knew. And Morgan says, it pains me, but many more people are about to perish. But don't worry, you'll all be reborn and be happy together. So obviously, we gotta talk about it. This is far from the first time, even in recent memory, that Tabata has gone out of their way to drop a character. Straight drop them hard, fast, dirty, to the point where a healthy chunk of the fandom believes that the character is done, son. And they've typically been of similar narrative importance to Jack, or sometimes even lesser, in terms of some of these characters that have managed to cheat the afterlife. So do I think Tabata is going to do the same thing that he did with Jack? I don't think so. And here's the reason why. This is the final arc. Jack's character, unfortunately, was never going to gain more narrative weight than this. It's just impossible. Sorry, Tabata has managed to break my ankles before, Nacht showing up as late in the game as he did and being one of the most important and pivotal characters. That is a scenario where legitimately Tabata pulled a character out his butt cheeks and then made them super duper important, super duper cool, and give them a whole bunch of narrative weight. Arguably, throughout the Spade arc, more narrative weight than even the captain of the Black Bulls, and some members of the Black Bulls have been in the narrative for thrice Nacht's presence in the narrative. So it's not entirely impossible or unreasonable, but I don't think Jack has that. I just don't think so. And I don't see Tabata after the allegations. I'm not sure what the allegations were like over in Japan, but specifically on Milo Western World. Yeah, there was a whole bunch. Disney Clover is such a sticking thing that I still see posts talking about Disney Clover to this day. And it's been, what, a year? Well, okay, not a year. It hasn't been that long. But at least it's been half a year since those allegations came out. Because what, about 26 chapters since chapter 331? Then again, we went on a month hiatus. So 26 chapters. So it's been about 6 months. It's been about 6 months since, oh no, not even 6 months. It's been probably about 7 months because of the monthly hiatus, and then throw another month in there. So it's been about 8 months since the allegations of Disney Clover really came out. But regardless of that, I don't think Jack necessarily has anything he can bring to the table if he's brought back too. Once again, bro got speed blitzed in one shot at the start of the battle. Him doing any more than that if he gets revived would feel inconsistent, and I don't think Tabata wants to do that. And it's the final arc, meaning that they can just hold a funeral for him. It's not like he's going to be needed in the future. He ain't going to be in Black Clover, the sequel. He's not going to be there. He's not going to be in White Clover. That's just not going to be the thing. So it's fine. I think Jack really is done here. How do I feel about that? Once again, if you couldn't tell by my general indifference to Jack as a character, I'm glad it's happening. Once again, it's doing its narrative purpose and laying down the stakes and showing us that, oh yeah, Tabata is actually willing to execute characters of Jack's level. So if you have a less important character than Jack, or even a slightly more important one, they could be on the chopping block. I'm happy with that. I like that. Once again, giving the final arc some actual personal stakes for the reader and for the characters involved. I like it. And we do get to see that the next person that may get on Pack Watch is in fact Meli, as she goes to swing in base, weirdly, against the Mad Doctor, and her hands disappear and get torn apart by the many hands of Morris. So she's in a rough spot. Please don't pack my wife. It's about it. Please don't pack my wife. Pack her brother. Pack her brother. I could not care less about what's going on. In fact, literally pack her brother and then have her absorb the salamander so she can really achieve a state of true fire. Give me that and I'll be good. Please do not pack my wife. But overall, a super duper ooper juper W chapter. I love the confirmation that Yuno is not him, even though he is him. I love the final interactions and final attack of Jack. I think it's beautiful, and building up hype for next week with the idea that Meli may be getting put on Pack Watch. I'm super duper excited. Black Clover has been hitting left and right recently, but those are my thoughts. Please tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure that notification bells to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also all you will Patreon below. Each will result as $1 $1 month. Exclusive videos, early content, and more. And also now become a member of the channel for as little as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Nacht with the Pencil, writing off.